There comes a point where you have to stop asking, "Why won't he choose me?" and start asking, "Why am I still giving him the option?" Because the truth is, someone who genuinely values you doesn't treat you like a backup plan. He doesn't come close, then pull away. He doesn't give you just enough to stay interested, but never enough to feel secure. That's not connection, that's control. If he's keeping you in the gray area, it's not because he's confused, it's because he's comfortable. And every time you accept being almost enough, you teach him he never has to give you more. This isn't about ego, it's about self-respect. You are not a maybe, you are not someone to fall back on when other plans don't work out. If he couldn't choose you when he had the chance, then don't let him have you once he realizes what he lost. Let's talk about how to reclaim your value and make it clear. You were never meant to be an option. You were always the standard. When someone treats you like an option, they're already showing you how they measure your worth in their life. They're saying, "You're nice to have around, but I'm not ready to make you essential." It might not come with those exact words, but the message is loud and clear in their behavior. They show up inconsistently, they text when it's convenient, they disappear when things get too real, and come back when they feel like it. You feel their presence only when it suits them, not when you need them. That kind of behavior isn't complicated, it's dismissive. And the longer you allow yourself to be treated like one of many options, the further you drift from being treated like a priority. It's easy to rationalize it. You tell yourself maybe he's just not ready, or maybe you need to be more patient, or maybe if you just love him a little harder, he'll finally see what he has. But that mindset is what keeps you stuck. The truth is, people treat you based on the standards you enforce, not the feelings you have. You can love someone deeply, but if you're letting them treat you like a convenience, that love gets buried under resentment and confusion. Being an option doesn't mean he doesn't like you. It just means he doesn't value you enough to risk losing you. That's a hard truth, but it's one you need to face if you want something real. The person who truly wants you isn't sitting on the fence. They're not comparing you to others or trying to figure out if they can do better. They already know what they have. They know your consistency, your heart, your loyalty. They see the way you show up, the way you communicate, the way you give. And they don't hesitate to return that energy because they feel lucky to have it. So when someone treats you like you're easily replaceable, you have to ask yourself, what am I doing that's making this feel acceptable to them? That's where your power lies, not in changing their mind, but in protecting your value. There's a difference between giving someone time and giving someone permission to waste yours. When you allow a man to keep you in limbo, to come and go without consequence, to offer inconsistency while you offer loyalty, you're reinforcing the idea that your love doesn't require effort. And love that doesn't require effort eventually loses its meaning. Because effort isn't about grand gestures, it's about showing up consistently, choosing you even when it's not convenient, and making sure you never feel like you're in competition with other people or his indecision. The real question is, do you want to spend your time convincing someone to choose you, or do you want to spend your life with someone who doesn't need convincing? Because there's someone out there who won't flinch at the idea of choosing you. They won't hesitate. They won't need to experience losing you to understand your value. They'll see it from the beginning and treat it like something sacred. But to find that person, you have to first stop accepting the bare minimum. You have to believe that being an option is not your role, and that someone else's confusion isn't your burden to carry. Every time you accept a position that's beneath your value, you lower your standard. And when you lower your standard, you stop being seen for who you truly are. You are not here to be picked when it's finally convenient for him. You're here to be seen, chosen, and respected fully and without hesitation. So the moment you feel like someone's treating you like an option, that's your invitation to step back. Not to punish them, but to protect yourself, because someone who can't see your worth while you're standing right in front of them doesn't deserve to have you when you finally walk away. Your energy is not meant to be held in reserve for someone else's readiness when a man says he's not ready or needs more time, yet continues to benefit from your presence, your support, your love. What he's really saying is, I want the perks of you without the commitment to you. And in that moment, you have a decision to make. Do you keep showing up while he delays his decision? Or do you reclaim that energy and invest it in someone who doesn't hesitate? Because the longer you keep waiting, the more you teach him that he doesn't actually need to grow up, step up, or make a choice, not as long as you're still there, being emotionally available. Free, it's a difficult thing to accept when you care about someone. You want to believe that his uncertainty is temporary, that his inability to choose is just a phase he's working through. But here's what most people don't realize: when someone truly values you, your clarity inspires their certainty. They're not confused, they're motivated. They don't ask you to wait for their potential, they meet you at your standard. If someone is unsure about you after consistent love, attention, and emotional availability, it's not a timing issue. It's a value issue, and no matter how long you stick around, their lack of clarity will only drain your energy, not deepen their commitment. You have to ask yourself what message your silence sends. If you keep showing up fully for someone who shows up halfway, you're teaching them that your standards are negotiable, that your love is available even when theirs is inconsistent, that they can explore other options, take their time, and still have full access to your heart. And the truth is, someone who's not ready for real commitment will never become ready while they're still reaping the benefits of your devotion. Why would they? There's no urgency, no loss, no lesson. Your emotional labor becomes the very cushion that allows them to stay stagnant. You don't owe anyone unlimited time to figure out if you're worth choosing. You're not a test run. You're not here to be studied while he decides if he wants to give his best effort. When you give your energy to someone who isn't prepared to match it, you end up exhausted, questioning your own worth, wondering if you did something wrong when in reality, the only mistake was giving someone the privilege of you without the price of effort. And no matter how kind or understanding you are, the moment you start betraying your own needs just to maintain someone else's comfort, you begin to shrink in the relationship. Walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've stopped accepting a version of love that costs you your peace. You're no longer in the business of being emotionally available for people who haven't earned that access. You're not punishing him, you're preserving yourself, and that shift is powerful, because the minute he no longer has access to your energy, the imbalance is exposed. The void becomes real, and if he truly values you, he'll step forward with clarity. If he doesn't, he'll fade, and you'll know your choice to walk wasn't just brave, it was necessary. So, when a man isn't ready but still wants your presence, that's your cue to reclaim your space. Your love is not a placeholder for when he's finally ready to grow up. It's a gift meant for someone who recognizes its value from the start and treats it like it's rare because it is. You don't have to explain that, you just have to protect it. When you're unsure where you stand with someone, that confusion itself is often your answer. People like to believe that relationships are complicated, that emotions are messy, and that sometimes people just don't know what they want. But the reality is, when someone is truly interested, you won't spend your nights overthinking, analyzing texts, or wondering if you're too much or not enough. You'll feel safe, seen, and certain. Consistency is the clearest expression of real interest, not the sweet words, not the occasional grand gesture, but the quiet, reliable presence that shows up day after day, no matter what. When someone is genuinely invested in you, you don't have to ask them where things are going. You don't have to chase. You don't feel like you're in competition with their distractions or other people. You're not caught in emotional whiplash, unsure whether they'll act warm one day and cold the next. Real effort brings clarity. It shows up with communication, reliability, and a desire to build something with you, not keep you guessing. And yet, so many people stay in situations where they're constantly confused, because deep down, they're hoping that the confusion will eventually lead to certainty. That one day he'll wake up and finally treat them the way they deserve. But confusion isn't a detour on the road to commitment. It's a signpost. It tells you, loud and clear, that this person either isn't emotionally available or isn't seeing you the way you want to be seen. And the longer you stay in that limbo, the more you erode your self-worth. Because every time you rationalize his inconsistency, you betray your own standard. You start to tolerate the bare minimum. You find yourself excusing behavior that, deep down, you know would never fly if the roles were reversed. There's something powerful about no longer chasing clarity from someone who benefits from keeping you confused. Because yes, confusion is often not accidental. Sometimes it's how people keep control. If he's unsure, but knows you're still there, still hoping, still pouring into the connection, then he never has to step up. He gets emotional intimacy without full accountability. He gets a version of you that gives without boundaries. And the more you give, the less urgency he feels to truly decide. Consistency is what separates men who are ready from men who just like attention. It's easy to show up occasionally. It's easy to say the right things once in a while, especially when they sense you pulling back. But it's hard to show up every day, to follow through, to hold space for your feelings, to treat the relationship like a priority and not a convenience. That's the difference. That's what real interest looks like. You deserve more than mixed signals. You deserve someone whose actions don't contradict their words. You deserve to be with someone who is clear about you because they're clear about themselves. And you will never get that if you continue to settle for the type of attention that's here today and gone tomorrow. When you stop overanalyzing and start observing consistency, everything becomes simpler. Is he showing up? Is he making you feel secure? Is he adding peace to your life, not stress? If not, the confusion is your closure. You don't need a long conversation to explain what's already evident through behavior. Stop waiting for someone to be sure about you. You deserve the kind of love that doesn't make you question if you're enough. The right person won't play hide and seek with your heart. They'll hold it like it matters every single day. There's a common mistake many people make when they feel undervalued in a relationship. They try harder. They believe if they just give more, care more, text more, or accommodate more, the other person will finally notice their worth. But here's the catch: effort in a relationship has to be mutual. When you're constantly overgiving to prove your value, what you're really doing is sending a message that your worth is something up for negotiation. You're saying, whether consciously or not, I'm willing to stretch myself thin just to keep you interested. And while that might feel like love or sacrifice, it's actually teaching the other person that they don't need to fully commit or step up because you've already lowered the bar. You might think this sounds harsh, but it's true. When you overextend yourself, you make it easy for him to take you for granted. Because effort that's one-sided doesn't build respect, it builds entitlement. The moment he realizes that no matter what he does, you're there giving more than you're getting, he stops feeling motivated to match your energy. He might even start seeing your generosity as an invitation to keep taking without giving back. The dynamic becomes imbalanced, and you end up exhausted, confused, and wondering why the love feels so one-sided. What you need to do instead is hold your worth in a way that challenges him to meet you where you are. That means pulling back, you're overgiving and waiting to see if he makes an effort to meet your level of care. It's not about playing games or manipulating him. It's about honoring your value and not allowing yourself to be the only one investing in the relationship. When you do this, two things happen. One, you protect your emotional well-being by not giving endlessly to someone who doesn't reciprocate. And two, you send a clear message that your love isn't a free pass. It's something that requires effort, respect, and choice. This shift changes the entire dynamic because now, instead of being the only one chasing, you're standing your ground. You're essentially saying, if you want me, you need to choose me actively, not passively accept me. And believe it or not, this kind of boundary can actually increase attraction. Why? Because when you respect yourself enough to expect the same in return, you become more magnetic. You're no longer a convenience or an option, you're a prize, and the right man wants a prize, not a project. On the flip side, if he's not willing to meet your effort, that's a sign to reconsider whether he's the right man for you. Someone who truly values you will step up when you pull back. They won't need reminders or ultimatums. Their actions will reflect their intentions. They'll invest the time, attention, and care naturally because they see you as a priority, not a backup plan. You might worry that holding your worth means risking losing him, but here's the truth. If he doesn't step up, you haven't lost anything worth keeping. You've only lost a chance with someone who wasn't ready to appreciate your full value, and that loss opens the door for someone who will. In relationships, effort isn't about who loves harder or tries more. It's about mutual respect and shared commitment. If you're the only one bending, giving, and proving your worth, the relationship isn't balanced, it's draining. So instead of trying harder, try smarter. Hold your worth, expect equal effort, and watch how the energy shifts. When you do that, you stop being an option and start being the standard. Letting go can feel like the hardest thing to do when someone has taken you for granted. You might feel like holding on longer will change things or prove your worth, but the real power lies in knowing when to walk away. Walking away is not about giving up. It's about reclaiming your dignity and your peace. When you let go of someone who hasn't appreciated you, you create space for growth, not just for yourself, but sometimes even for them. Because absence is often the wake-up call people need to realize what they've lost. When you stay in a situation where you're undervalued, you send a message to yourself and to him that it's acceptable to be treated less than you deserve. You become a participant in a cycle of neglect and disappointment, but when you decide to step away, you break that cycle. You show that your time, energy, and love are not commodities to be taken lightly. This act of self-respect forces him to confront his choices. He's faced with the reality that his actions have consequences, that taking you for granted means risking losing you entirely. This is not about punishment, it's about clarity. It's about giving both of you a chance to reset. Often, when someone is used to having constant access to your kindness and availability, they don't realize what they're missing until it's gone. Your absence can reveal just how much you actually mean. It can bring perspective to someone who may have been blinded by their own complacency or distractions. But remember, this doesn't mean you wait around hoping for that realization. You walk away for yourself first, to honor your needs and your worth. Letting go also means giving yourself permission to heal, being taken for granted wounds your confidence and self-esteem. It can make you question your value and your desirability. But stepping away is a declaration that you believe in yourself enough to refuse less than you deserve. It's an act of self-love that says, I will not settle for crumbs when I'm meant for a feast. This mindset shift is crucial because it sets a new standard for how you expect to be treated moving forward. It's a boundary that protects you from future pain. It's important to understand that walking away doesn't guarantee he'll change or come running back. Sometimes the lesson for him is lost, but that's okay because your primary responsibility is to yourself. You cannot control how others respond, but you can control how you respond to being treated. Choosing to leave is choosing your happiness and emotional freedom over someone's indecision or neglect. It's about prioritizing your peace over the chaos of trying to force a relationship to work where the effort isn't mutual. Moreover, when you walk away with confidence and grace, you reclaim your power. You no longer wait for his validation or approval. You become the one who sets the terms, who decides what's acceptable and what's not. This shift can be incredibly liberating. It changes your energy from desperation to empowerment, and people can feel that energy. It's magnetic. When a man sees that you won't tolerate being an option, that you have boundaries and standards, it can make him reconsider how he treated you in the first place. Letting go is the ultimate way to protect your heart and honor your worth. It's the line you draw that says, I am worthy of someone who chooses me fully and consistently. And by drawing that line, you open the door to better love, deeper respect, and a relationship that truly reflects the value you bring. It's not just about what he loses, it's about what you gain: peace, freedom, and the chance to be loved exactly as you deserve. One of the most powerful lessons in relationships is learning to stop waiting for someone else's timeline and start living on your own terms. When a man has taken you for granted, it's easy to fall into the trap of waiting for him to realize what he's lost and come back begging for another chance. But this waiting game often leaves you stuck in a place of uncertainty, doubt, and frustration. The truth is, your life doesn't have to pause just because he hasn't caught up yet. Your happiness and growth are not dependent on his realization or change. Living your life fully means embracing your passions, goals, friendships, and self-care without hesitation or apology. It means investing in yourself the way you wish he had invested in you. When you focus on your own growth and happiness, you reclaim your power and send a clear message that your worth is not tied to his attention or approval. This shift in mindset is magnetic. It creates an energy that naturally attracts the right people and repels those who don't value you. When you stop waiting for him to come around, you also remove the emotional leverage he might have had over you. No longer does his indecision or neglect control your mood, your choices, or your self-esteem. Instead, you're living on your terms, making decisions that serve your highest good. This isn't about being spiteful or playing games. It's about self-respect and emotional independence. It's about recognizing that you deserve love and respect right now, not someday when he finally realizes your value. Another important aspect of living your life fully is that it creates space for new opportunities. When you're preoccupied with someone who doesn't appreciate you, you can miss out on moments that could bring joy, connection, and growth. By stepping out of that shadow, you open yourself up to experiences and people who see and celebrate you for who you truly are. This expansion of your world broadens your perspective and strengthens your confidence, making you even more attractive to the right kind of partner. It's also crucial to understand that if he truly values you, your independence will inspire him to step up, not push him away. Men respect confidence and self-sufficiency because it shows that you're not needy or desperate for approval. You're a whole person capable of happiness with or without him. This kind of energy challenges him to be better, to rise to the level of someone who deserves you. If he can't meet that standard, then he isn't the right man for you anyway. Living your life fully means prioritizing your emotional well-being over someone else's inconsistency. It means choosing joy over waiting, fulfillment over doubt, and growth over stagnation. When you make that choice, you shift the entire dynamic. You stop being the person who waits in the wings and start being the one who commands the center stage of your own life. In the end, the most valuable lesson is that your life is too precious to put on hold for someone who hasn't earned your patience or your presence. When you live fully and unapologetically, you become the consequence he never saw coming, not because you're trying to punish him, but because you're embracing your own worth and refusing to settle for less. That's the kind of power that changes everything, and that's the kind of love that lasts. Remember, being taken for granted is not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of someone else's inability to recognize it. When you choose to stop waiting, stop overgiving, and start valuing yourself above all else, you shift the entire dynamic. You move from being an option to becoming the consequence, someone whose absence is felt deeply and whose presence commands respect. This journey isn't about punishment or playing games. It's about reclaiming your power, setting clear boundaries, and living a life that honors your true value. When you do that, you don't just change his perception. You transform your entire experience of love and self-worth. So stand tall, trust your worth, and know that the right person will see you, choose you, and cherish you exactly as you deserve.